Hi everybody. On this edition of Total OS today, I wanted to take a look at some reasoning or my thoughts on why people quit using Linux or maybe just refuse to try Linux in general. Now here I have the Ubuntu.com front page, of course. The 10.10 Maverick Meerkat beta is out, but for this particular topic I'll be referring to Linux distributions in general. I did come across a article on the web on why sometimes people quit Linux. Here at the left it says why people quit Linux. Linux doesn't run a program I use. I installed Linux, but some element of my hardware didn't work. I tried Linux but had to type commands. I did this and this happened. That doesn't happen with Windows. I posted a message on the forum, but Linux people were mean to me. I haven't come across that. I just don't like it, which is fair enough. And it's finally I installed Linux and things went honey nut loops crazy. I guess that means a crash or something. But as far as why I think at least why Windows users quit Linux, let me give you some of the reasons why I think in no particular order. Number one, it's not Windows. Windows is not Linux and Linux is not Windows. Now that may be a rather over simplification of an excuse or an answer as to why people quit using Linux, but I mean it is a fair one. I mean, people who are trying Linux for the first time, just like I tried it for the first time, it takes some getting used to. It's not Windows. Now whether somebody can say it's better or worse, that's up to the individual to decide, but Linux is definitely not Windows and vice versa. Let's see what else. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. I guess I can give you one example. I'm doing this recording on my desktop. I installed Kubuntu. Kind of like it after getting used to it. I had to learn some of the customization, stuff like that, but it seems to be stable. But that's not the problem I'm having in trying to make it work. For whatever reason, on my desktop and only on my desktop, I cannot install this as a standard dual boot. I've tried different OSs, different versions of Linux, and for some reason every time I try to install it, the installation seems to go okay. I can boot into Linux, but I cannot boot into Windows for the life of me. And I tried the guided partitioning, the simple way of doing it, stuff like that. It seems easy enough, but for whatever reason it just refuses to let me run Windows as an option in a dual boot. So I'm forced to install Kubuntu or Ubuntu or any version of that only using the Woobi installer. That's not the recommended way, but so far it seems to be stable, but that's not the way this is supposed to work. But I don't know, for whatever reason this particular computer will not let me install Linux as a dual boot, at least the way I want to. So I can vouch for that reason. The next reason is that it can't run a Windows program or device. That's true. I have a MP3 player, a Microsoft Zune MP3 player, and as far as I know, there is absolutely no way to use a Microsoft Zune in a Linux distribution. I'm not saying that the Zune is the best MP3 music player, video player out there, but that's what I have. I like using it, but right now it will not work in a Linux, or at least not in Ubuntu, Kubuntu, or Linux Mint. So for that reason, yes, it cannot run a Windows program or device. Next on the list is don't like using the command line. Well, sometimes you have to. I don't using the command line either. I had to use the command line to download the codecs that I needed to run the video editor Kdenlive. So yeah, not using the command line. I mean, I know how, but I don't, so that is a valid point. The next reason that it crashed, froze, etc. Well, that can happen in Windows also. So I don't entirely buy the reasoning that the Linux distribution crashed or froze. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen, it does, but that also happens in Windows, and I think any kind of OS that a computer user has should not get used to it. Of course, you don't want your computer crashing all the time, but at least accept the fact that it can happen. And last on the list, it can't play music, video, stuff like that. Well, distributions like Linux Mint have come a long way into trying to make it making multimedia work out of the box. There's Linux Mint, there's Zorin OS3 multimedia, which is terrific. So that's partially true, and I still cannot get HD video to play correctly in a single core machine, at least the ones that I own, but it does work okay in Windows. So the last point, somewhat valid, although Linux has made great strides really over the past year or two in making the experience as much as a Windows experience as easily as possible. Well, there you have it. Basically, these are my reasons why I think people quit using Linux. In a situation like this, if Linux really is after, if the Linux world is really after the Windows user, or at least trying to get some Windows users to try Linux, it really needs to be ready out of the box. All it takes is one bad experience, to one person to spread the word that Linux is no good, which is not true, and that's the end. And come to think of it, I cannot think of one friend that I know that uses Linux, for whatever reason. I mean, maybe they just don't care to use Linux, maybe they don't have the time, or they're happy with what they have. But right now, I cannot think of one person that I know that uses Linux. Anyway, that's just a thought. Well, that's it. That's it for this screencast for Total OS today. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, rate, comment, rant, yell, scream, fart, burp. Well, maybe not that. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and have a good one. Bye.